Well, I mean, it can still sting, and you can be really proud of what you achieved this season with this group of guys, and that's really the message for them. Is you looked at Halloween, we were 4-4, and then you looked up and we were 14-4, and back-to-back AFC North champs and back-to-back AFC championship game appearances. And so there's a lot to be proud of, and continue to build off of, and I hope the guys understand that.
What is the biggest takeaway that you want to take from last night's game going into next season, and the motivation that's the follow?
Well, I think when you're again, the things that are worth doing, it really stings when it doesn't work out in your favor, and there's great joy when they do work out. And we want to be in a position to feel both those emotions based on the outcome of the game, and we've put ourselves in a position to do that over the last 2 years. And those are feelings that we want to be in a position to experience again. Obviously, we want the joy part of it. But I think the team understands that it's a long road to get back every single year, to get to the very back, and you never take it for granted. And so we'll continue to build off of this season.
Joseph Asai said he was going to get an MRI on his knee. Did that happen yet? Do you have an update on that?
I don't know that that's happened yet. Now we've just been with the exit process, and some of those injury stuff will take shape over the next 2 days.
Is there anything you could have done differently game planning against Chris Jones yesterday?
It's he's a challenge because they move him around, and so you never know on a given play where he's going to be. It's the guys that are able to do that. Those interior players that can turn into exterior players and can line up over all your guys. They present real challenges. He's a great player. I thought our guys really fought hard to try to keep those guys at bay, and certainly they got us a couple times. But I was proud of the way our offensive line fought to keep them home so Joe could have time to make some big time throws, which he did.
Talking about how this team was special, and it seemed like that was the sentiment leaving the locker room with guys tearing up and, echoing your message about this team just being special. I know your brain isn't even on it right now, but every team changes from year to year. Mm-hmm. Did that make it sting, or how did it make you feel knowing that this team isn't going to be the same? Obviously, you hope to keep as many players as you can, but things happen. I mean, how did you process that, knowing what happened yesterday and with the future uncertain for some of these guys?
Yeah, it's that whole thing hasn't taken shape yet, and so you don't quite go there. Certainly we've had exit interviews with a lot of players. They know how we feel about them. Certainly guys whose contracts are up, and it's a great group of guys, and I think you all know that from interviewing them. There's probably nobody you interview where you don't want to deal with them, and that just kind of shows what we have in the locker room. And again, so now the next phase of the NFL happens, where you start to go through this transition leading into free agency, and we'll see how it plays out with a lot of guys.
How do you handle exit interviews? Like, what are you trying to get out of it, or what's your kind of approach to that?
There's a lot of it kind of varies from player to player. There's things we always want to continue to improve upon our operation, and so being the head coach for 4 years, there's always things that you don't see, and you want to make sure that the leadership can tell you when things are, hey, this is really good. I've been other places. This how we do this in this area is awesome. Keep it going. Hey, here's something I think we can improve upon, and so we're always eager to learn and evolve and keep things fresh. And so that's part of the process. Sometimes it's a little too fresh, the day after your last game. Not everyone's thinking that way, but there's a lot of guys that I hold in high regard that I expect to have more conversations with over the next couple months.
You might not be able to remember, but is there an example, like not this year, but past years, where you've taken something?
Sure. Yeah, I won't give specific examples, but yeah, plenty of times where, again, we're just always looking to improve anything we can improve upon, and that's play calling, that's operationally, that's scheduling, that's anything we can possibly do.
Zach, is there a communication channel or process available to you to get clarification from the league on why certain things were done by the officiating crew yesterday, or would you even forward tapes or films and try to get feedback that way?
I mean, anything that will help us in the future, understanding things. At this point, our season's over, and it's best not to dwell on things that could have happened in any way, shape, or form yesterday. And so, again, if there's anything operationally that we feel like benefits us just to have a better understanding, then we always pursue that in the off season and try to get better. And the league always comes in and sends memos and sends videos and sends officials in, and you're always trying to get better, and that's where it's at for us.
But was that third down situation yesterday something you were aware of going in when they explained it to you, or was it something like, it looked like on the sideline, you were like, what are you doing? What are you calling here? I don't know.
There's confusion, obviously. It's rare that a play gets run and then you repeat the play. And so, yeah, initial confusion on my end. They tried their best to explain it to me, and then we moved on.
There was a lot of chatter after the game in Kansas City, talked about all of the comments throughout the week. You guys talked about the fact that you liked having an edge
Yeah.
going into that game. But in hindsight, is there anything that you would do differently? Or do you would you do it all over again, given the way the players approached it?
No, I think this team has an edge and a confidence about them. At the end of the day, we always want to represent our organization, our city, the right way, and that's with class, respect, and there's plenty of times you get right up on that edge. I get that, and I love our team. They always come from a good place, and so we always keep those conversations pretty internal. When you win, you can say what you want to say, and again, we give them a lot of credit. It was a heavyweight fight yesterday, and they came out on top, and they get a chance to go to the Super Bowl. And so when you're in that position, you get to say what you want to say.
Is it fun to be a part of, these are kind of rare rivalries in sports, or we have teams of that caliber that compete? I mean, is it fun to be part of that for future years now?
You hope to be in those showdowns as often as you can, and proud to be a part of that game yesterday. We came up on the wrong end of it, but and you always have regrets on things you wish you could have done differently. Of course, in retrospect, you're always looking at things that could have gone the other way. But at the end of the day, I was proud of the way that the team represented themselves on the field yesterday. We gave it our best shot, came up a little bit short, but you're able to get on that plane with your head held high and go into the off season and have a chance to reflect back on some great things that happened this year.
It might be too fresh, but, they've got the sign that they gotta play us and the mantra that this team, does that reset next year? Do you take those down and say, that's a new year, new team?
Every year's different. Some things carry on forever. Some things you update as you go. No determinations have been made on next year's slogan. We'll have plenty of time to think about that.
I don't know if you saw the video, BJ putting his arm around us out in the locker room yesterday. What does that support mean, and what does that say about the locker room you guys have worked so hard to make like that?
Yeah, it's something we've always known, and especially when your season comes to an end and everyone's always thinking about, man, if I just would have done this differently. And the things that get highlighted usually are what happens at the end of the game, but there's certainly at least one thing every coach and every player wishes we would have done differently in that game, to a man. And so that was awesome to see those guys support each other in a really tough moment. And Joseph's a guy who leaves his heart and soul on the field every single day, whether it's in practice or in games, and so I appreciate that about him.
Zach, going back to training camp, I guess we'll start with the appendectomy for Joe Burrow. Then you start 0-2, and then you lose Jamar Chase for 4 games, and then you guys really catch your stride, and then you lose 3 of your starting offensive linemen. It just seems like you guys, and I know it's like that for every NFL team, constant adversity. But what did you learn about this team and yourself navigating this type of season?
Well, I think that's why your depth is so important. Everybody on your practice squad and your roster. And again, that's why Duke and that whole department do a great job of making sure we're ready for moments like this, because you never know where it's going to hit you. Everybody deals with the injuries, and that's just part of a long season.
What's that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, hold on one second. And then, the other part is just our division. You look at all 4 teams, they all split with each other, everyone. And that just shows you how tough this division is. And it gets you ready for the runs we needed to go on there, because you got to find all sorts of ways to win in this division. And everyone came out 500. Everybody split with the other team. We take pride in playing this division. You got to come out a little bit better in order to gain some of the home field advantages, coming out of that. But again, we take a lot of pride in it, and it gets you ready for the playoffs and these tough moments that you got to deal with when you got to play the 3 teams that we play every week, every season.
Coach,
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, Coach.
You're good.
What type of message you want to send to the players? If you're when you was in the locker room, you was talking to them and everything. Like if they're watching this right now, what type of message and you want to send to them if they're watching this right now?
Yeah, that they should be proud of the way that they carried themselves this season and all the things that they accomplished. Back-to-back division titles, back-to-back AFC Championship appearances. Went from 4-4 to 14-4, and had each other's back every step of the way and support each other. I think there's significant things to take away from this year.
There's gonna be a lot of
And the theme. Sorry about that, guys. One last thing. What is the theme for next season that if you was to put a title on it, like you was like making a movie, like a title for a movie, like what's the title or theme for next season?
That's something we'll spend a lot of time thinking about this offseason of how to get this team back up and ready to attack next year. I don't quite have that answer yet, but that's something we'll spend the next couple months making sure we're ready for.
There's gonna be a lot of conversation now about how much Joe Burrow is worth to the franchise. How would you quantify how much he's worth right now?
Yeah, fortunately, I don't have to put that to put that on paper. In terms of what that is, that's just the business we're in right now. He's everything we want to be about. He is a hard worker. He cares about his teammates. He cares about where he's from, Ohio. This fan base, I think he represents us the right way. And so we take a lot of pride in having Joe Burrow as our quarterback.
We're not going to talk to Duke until the combine, so I figured we'd ask you since you're part of those conversations, what is that conversation going to be like as you all look at potentially as he's extension eligible? What do you guys want to do? How's that conversation going to progress throughout the offseason?
Yeah, I think that starts now internally. And so, again, just wrapped up with the team today, and as you go forward, you get a chance to start talking about Joe and all the other players that are up.
Speaking of Joe, the hit he took, and he went backward somersault, got up, ball was out. He looked at the official like, what the hell? Was that rough in the pass award?
I don't know. Those are things that, again, we'll just continue to get ready for next year.
Zach, back to the depth. How much does that help you maybe navigate with decisions you make in free agency of guys that you just can't bring back for financial reasons, etc.?
That's the balance you always have to strike. Is we've got really talented players, and you want to work to get them back, and at the same time you're balancing developing younger players. And so again, we want all these great players we have. We want them back. And then that's a chance to work these next couple of weeks and see where we end up, and at the same time always developing. I don't like saying the bottom of the roster, all the guys on the roster. And I think we've taken great pride in doing that.
Do you like the depth you have right now on the offensive line coming back for next year?
Say it one more
The
time.
depth you have on the offensive line, how do you feel about that?
I do. I think all those guys have continued to improve, and we've invested a lot of resources in that room. I think it served us really well. And again, those guys have to a man, each one of them have proved, and I think they've played together as a group really well as the season progressed. The cohesiveness there and the chemistry there, that matters. That puts you, beyond your potential when you get those five pieces working together. And then the guys that have stepped up, as backups, really proud of the job that those guys did this year.
I was saying in the locker room that money's obviously important, but winning culture, a lot of other intangibles are important as well. When you hear a player say that's up for a contract extension, how does that make you feel about the culture you built?
I think it's great. You want guys that we're all professionals. You want to walk into your building excited to go to work every single day, and I think that matters. It matters for me. But again, everyone's got to balance the decisions they got to make for themselves and their family. But at the end of the day, I love parking my car in the garage and walking in through the doors every single day. There's not been a day that I've dreaded doing it, and so that's all I need. And again, I think these players really enjoy being here, and we'll just see how it shakes out.
There's a lot of interest in Callahan and Romo, and what would you say about what those two coordinators have meant?
Oh, Lou, Brian, and Darren, we've had the same three coordinators since I've been here, which is really rare. And that's been special to be able to have that because we're a very tight bunch. I think that the communication process has been great between all of us, all the way down through the coaches, and excited that Brian and Lou are getting these opportunities that they're getting. and Brian's got 2 of them right now, and Lou's got 1 of them, and certainly hope that they get a chance to take advantage of those opportunities and become head coaches. And if they're back, that's great for me and for all of us. But that's part of being a successful team is people are going to come and want to talk to your coaches, and we got a lot of great coaches here that are more than capable.
Those interviews can change things, but is your plan right now to bring the whole staff back?
Yeah, I think we got a great staff.
I mean, in case, if something does happen with one of those guys that do end up getting an opportunity there, I mean, what's made them good coordinators, and what do you seek in kind of a guy, now that you've kind of been a head coach for 4 years, what makes for a good coordinator in what you're looking for?
I think those they're really smart, and they have no ego. That's a great starting point. I think they all have such tremendous experience behind them. You look at the places they've been, the guys they've coached, people they've worked under, the games they've been a part of, and we've all grown together. I mean, you're allowed to improve. You're not the person you were 10 years ago, 5 years ago. You're allowed to improve, and I think everyone on our staff, the more we've been together, we've improved as a whole, and we're going to continue to improve as we move forward. We're not just going to be stagnant, and so I think that those guys all have a lot of potential, even going forward. If they were to leave and go somewhere else or stay here.
Kind of going back to the culture, every unit group has its own kind of culture, not to take away from one or the other, but with the secondary, that nucleus with Cheeto, Eli, Jesse, why has that culture of that nucleus been so special in those guys?
Well, there's a lot of veteran leadership in there. Man, they work their tails off, and winning is important for them. Bringing the next man along is really important for them. If you're talking about the rookies with Cam and AG, and so I've really liked what I've seen from that group is making sure everyone's improving. Their communications have been awesome. I mean, they are some tremendous leaders in that safety room and that corner room, and they're all really valuable to us.
Eli and Cheeto were both talking about how this is the happiest and most connected they've been with their teammates in their careers being here. Is it more just their chemistry, or is it just something special about that locker room, or is it kind of a combination of both?
I think it's a combination of both. I think they genuinely enjoy being around each other. I think Chuck Burks has been great in that room as well. And I think just the overall locker room. You see those DBs hanging out with all sorts of guys across the ball, same side of the ball. It's just really a special team that way.
You speak of overall culture. The first 2 years you were here, the records were what they were, and a drastic change the last 2 years. What are you most proud of, having been front and center to witness that kind of change in the last 2 years?
The foundation that's been built here, and again, it's changing. It's the Cincinnati I always faced as a coach on other teams was outstanding, and so again, it's a new start for us as new coaches that come in here, and so you build your own foundation and that you want to stand upon. And I've just been really proud of sticking together through tough times. Whether that's the coaching staff, front office, players that have been here throughout the whole deal, adding new players. I think you were just really proud of the way that everyone's had each other's back and stood firm and allowed us to continue to grow as a team.
We didn't get to talk to you until the combine. Any updates on
Is that true? That's right.
Uh,
Was that like tomorrow?
Did Burrow's wrist check out okay?
I don't know that yet. I talked to him this morning. He was in. We had a good conversation, so I didn't stare at his wrist. But I'll find out more of the injury stuff a little bit later today.
It's awesome. Later on this week, I'm sure.
Sure.
I don't know if you were asked about it, but it was reported a few days ago that Dan Pitcher had kind of turned down interest from other teams as a coordinator to stay here. What does that mean to retain him under those circumstances?
He's a great coach, and there's still opportunities out there that he's got a chance to talk through, but we value him here. He's done a great job. He's had various roles coming up through the years. He was on Marvin's staff. They did a great job identifying him and bringing him in, and we kept him, and he's continued to grow from the receiver room to the quarterback room, and he plays a huge part in Joe's development, our game planning, and our operation on game day. And so, again, he's got a lot of value to us, and we'll see where it goes with these other opportunities, but I'd be very happy to have him back.
Is there a benefit in his situation? He started out in personnel and then moved over into the coaching part of it. Is there a benefit to that, or is it just very guy to guy?
Well, I think it's good, especially in the off-season phase of things where you're evaluating prospects that could come through the building, developing players. You know, you've really studied that, so I think that's a good background to have. Just like guys that have maybe worked on defense that come over to offense and vice versa. You don't always get that opportunity to do that, but when you do, I think that's a great asset.
What's the key to evolving specifically with the offense as guys kind of grow into their roles in the league? They're not first and second year players anymore. How do you guys as coaches kind of evolve with them as they move throughout their career?
Well, there's a balance there of things that we hang our hat on that we got to continue to improve upon and be better at, and then there's new ways you want to be creative going into each year and pushing those guys. I think we got a group of guys that is capable of being really hard on themselves and understanding where they need to improve to be the best of the best, and those guys all have that potential, and so I think that's what's special about that group is they want to be challenged and they want to continue to improve in every way.
How do you think the rookies progressed after the first of the year?
I think it's a really good class. That's really helped us. And I won't go one by one today, but I think that as it's, the names are all coming in my head, you know, a lot of those guys played significant roles for us. A lot of them are going to play significant roles for us. Some dealt with injuries, and excited to get them back in the fold next year. You know, if you think about Tyson. And so, again, it's a really good group that I think we Duke and his staff did a great job bringing those guys in.
Coach, what would you say about the Bengals-Chiefs last 4 games being separated by a 3-point margin and the kind of exciting games
Yeah.
that these have been so thrilling, each one of them, that as a fan, as a viewer, you couldn't even take hardly one play off.
Yeah. They're exhausting, but they're heavyweight fights, you know, and that's what is fun about this league. That's what you want to be a part of. You want to put it all out there to where you're going to feel tremendous joy or tremendous agony when you walk off the field, and that just means you're in the right profession, doing the right thing when you get a chance to feel those emotions, and that's what keeps me going, you know. And it's not always, there's only one team that's going to be really happy at the end of the year, and you're always fighting to be that one team, and we think we've got the potential to do that at some point.
When you make the playoffs, the end is so abrupt unless you win the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
But considering the 10-game winning streak and being a game away from a return trip to the Super Bowl, did this one seem even more like a train hitting a mountain?
Yeah, you immediately feel tired this morning because you're always prepping yourself one more week, and coffee, whatever you got to do to keep yourself going, and the excitement. And then when it ends, you just get sick for like 2 weeks, everybody, and your body just shuts down. And I'm sure that's the point I'll hit tomorrow. But I am doing my best just to appreciate, you know, all the things you just mentioned that this team's accomplished this year. There's a lot to be proud of. And again, it can still, 2 things can be true. It can still sting, and you can still be really proud of what this group accomplished, and really proud of this group.
As an opposing coach, to see what Patrick Mahomes was able to accomplish out there. I mean, I know that was the opponent, but everybody respects everybody in this league.
Mm-hmm.
What's your thought after you kind of think back on what that league did out there?
Yeah, he's a great competitor, you know, and he leaves out there on the field for his team, and you know, he's one of the best to do it. And those are the types of games you like playing in. You like playing against great coaches and great players, and finding ways to try to stop them. And he made some great plays yesterday. I thought our guys were in really good position, and they just find a way to make plays, and that's why they've been to 5 straight AFC Championship games, and that's what we're striving for.